Don't let poor management try and break you. Master the art of cool, calm, and collective. If you're new to the channel, I go by the name of ED. For all you smart and intelligent folks out there, that just simply means Ed. I have an 8-point framework. In these 8 points, my goal, my mission is to unpack today's title, which is entitled How to Deal with a Difficult Boss at Work. 8 tips to deal with the challenges you face. Again, how to deal with a difficult boss at work. 8 tips to deal with the challenge you face. Now, family, what I will say here is we're going to change it up a little bit because I know what you're thinking. What do you mean, Eddie? You're about to change it up. Well, what I'm thinking here is, family, is that sometimes we have questions that we were thinking of when we're watching the video, and I want to see if I can tap into that mindset today. So let's see how this works. You work with me today and see. Tell me if you like it or not. Leave a comment if you do. All right. First point is responding to public negative feedback. A question would be that you would probably be thinking is, how should one react to receiving rude and negative feedback in a public setting? I remember the first time this happened to me. I was shocked. I was appalled. I was out of my mind. I said, I can't believe my manager is doing this to me in front of my peers, even in front of his peers. How dare he do this to me? Okay, then after the emotion left, I thought to myself, let me stay cool real quick. Let me stay calm. That's not how my first response is, family. I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of people will come on here and tell you lies. They will mislead you. But you know I'm going to keep it all the way 100 and keep it transparent. I was not that way at first. I actually went off. Okay, let's just be honest. I went off. Yep, I did. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know I'm supposed to be the professional here. I did my best at that point when it first happened to me. But in anything, it's a lesson learned. In anything, it's an opportunity to grow. So when it happened to me the second time, I said to myself, let me stay cool and calm. Because evidently, what I did when I reacted or allowed this person to get a reaction out of me, and it appeared that I came off very defensively, I'm going to be cool, calm, and collective. And then what I said to my manager at that time, when I said, hey, I would like to have a meeting with you to discuss some things. He was like, well, what things do you want to discuss about? I'll set it up. I'll give you the agenda, what we're going to talk about. If you have anything you like to add, please let me know and I'll add that to the agenda. When I got on that one-on-one meeting, I was very direct. I was very concise. I was professional at that at that moment. But the point I'm trying to make, family, is when you get embarrassed, or I don't even want to use the word embarrassed, when you get called out in front of your peers or in front of your manager's peers or people just around in the area, it's really up to you to make the decision, not the choice, the decision of how you're going to handle it. And I wish that we could say that every moment that we would love to be professional, at every moment we would love to be calm, cool, and collective. But there's sometimes you just got to let them have it. Okay, no, don't do that, don't do that. No, but honestly, family, we want to make sure that when this happens to us, we want to keep that professional mindset. We want to remain calm because we're going to address this afterwards. We're going to have a conversation afterwards, and that's going to tell me everything that I need to know about the situation that just occurred. And I want to say this too, family, while we're on this topic. There's going to be some tips in here that I share. There's going to be some opportunity in here that I share. But I will say this, you have to apply them. And if you apply them, if they don't work, we're going to talk about what you do if you've tried all of these tips. Excuse me, if you've done all these tips, not tried, because we know the difference. When you sit down, you don't say, I'm going to try and sit down. You either sit down or you don't. So if you decide to take on these tips, if you decide to make that choice, that decision to go ahead and implement and experiment with these tips, I will tell you there may be some things you're going to have to, be some more questions you're going to have to answer, and I hope I can answer those today. Family, by the way, you know we have the Magnetic Project Manager School coming up. Is going to be March 9th, 2024. So if you haven't, I'm going to be, I'm really going to probably be pushing that really hard next week. Leading up to the actual ninth, but I'm super excited because I like topics like this. I can go more in depth in, and I can actually make it live where you guys could we can all interact, which I'm super excited about. So, oh man, I just can't wait. I just can't wait. I'm sorry. All right, let's get back to the original program. Point number 2, speaking up without crossing lines. I know a question you may be asking yourself. How can one ensure that voicing concerns to a boss remains respectful and professional? Excellent question. See, what I recommend and what I advise is prepare your points or your speaking points in advance. Focus on specific issues of how they are impacting your work. And normally I wouldn't say this, but in this particular scenario, I would say use I statements, meaning I statements to express how you feel without placing blame, and request feedback on how to better communicate in the future. A lot of times, family, what I've noticed is that when the manager's in place and they are being condescending, they are, calling you out in public, or making you feel not a good uncomfortable, like uncomfortable as far as pushing you to your greatness, but uncomfortable like we just waiting for you to quit type thing. You have to have the confidence. You have to have the courage to feel like you should be able to not place blame, take full accountability and ownership on the things you own, but talk about how can we move forward in this relationship that we have, as far as you, my manager, and I'm your direct report. All right, let's move to point number 3. Point number 3, experiencing micromanagement. Oh man, I wish I could say I've never experienced this, because micromanagement, I don't care what anybody says, I don't like it. I've never been a fan of it. I actually shut down when I get micromanaged, because, and I don't know why I shut down, family. And well, okay, I do know why. The reason why I shut down, family, is because what I learned is that this is not about helping me. This is about keeping me, as they would say, under your shoe, so you won't know what's behind the curtain. Okay, you don't like that one. What I've truly learned about it is more or less is that the less that you know what's going on in the organization, the more you may be able to supersede me. And so it's one of those things when someone is micromanaging you, either something they went through in the past or they feel that you are a threat, either one of the two. But the question you may be asking, how do you handle a situation where your boss micromanage you excessively? Well, one of the things I recommend is initiate a discussion about your work style and how you believe autonomy would improve your productivity. Propose a trial period for decreased supervision on a project. Offer regular updates to build trust. And see, a lot of times when people micromanage you, or I should say bosses micromanage you, is that there's a lack of trust, and it's nothing you could have done. Like I said, it could have been someone in the previously in this position, or when they were worked at another organization. That's the reason why there is fear. It's a fear-based leadership. Instead of calling it micromanagement, they should call it fear management, because of the fact they fear what may happen if that you may do something and they may get blindsided, because this has happened to them before. But the thing that they're not understanding is just you're not them, meaning you're not the resource that was there, so they have all their guards up. So offering regular updates, that will allow yourself to build trust. All right, let's move on to point number 4. This is my favorite, because if I could tell you how many times this has happened to me, but you see how I'm smiling, that's exactly what I did. I just kept smiling. Number 4, when your boss takes credit for your work, how do you respond if your boss consistently takes credit for your ideas or projects? Excellent question. You know what I would do, family? This is what I actually did, because I was so frustrated that I was like, man, I just created this amazing PowerPoint and you just stuck your name in here and delivered it to the C suite. Oh, that's messed up. Okay, how can I do this more? All right, so this is what I did. I started keeping records of my contributions where I could. I also started documenting in a way where it forces you to see that my name was on the slide. So I'll give you, here's even a clear, maybe one day I'll do it. Like I said, we're going to definitely do a deep dive on this, and I'm going to give you some behind the scenes to help you if you have a manager that is stealing your work. There's some things that there's some tips and tricks that we can do about that. But one of the things I'm going to tell you here, and then we'll do a visual treatment of it. So basically, on a PowerPoint. So for me, I work in a lot of PowerPoint, and with working in PowerPoint or any document, you can put who the owner was on there, and you can also see where the contributions are. Like it may add this additional authors, but you want to make sure your name is there as the author. And when it gets sent out, you want to make sure your name is on the author, just in case something where they want to take credit for. But again, you want to have this discussion with your manager and focus. This is key here, family. You don't want to miss this. Focus on your desire for collaborative success and recognition. I'll slow that down again. Focus on your desire for collaborative success and recognition. All right, let's move on to point number 5. Dealing with a difficult boss early. Here's the question: how do you handle a challenging boss shortly after starting a new job? Woo! Oh man, this is heavy right here. Let me tell you why it's heavy, family. Is because just imagine you were working this opportunity. Recruiter reaches out to you and says, "Hey, John, hey, Sally, we have this amazing opportunity for you to come at XYZ organization. We think you'll be a perfect fit." You go through the process and the interviewing process. You're gun ho because you're like, wow, the manager was awesome. His direct reports that I interviewed was amazing. Oh, I can't wait to get started. And then you leave the job that you were currently at and you start this new opportunity. And then as soon as you get in there, you see all the challenges that were not presented during the interview. You pick up on a lot of things because you start asking questions. It was like, why did this position come open? And normally, again, we're going to talk about that in the magnetic project school as well. What questions you should be asking to figure out red flags of why did this position come open? If this position came open because somebody left, well, why did they leave? See, sometimes we don't ask these probing type questions because if the interview is, let's say, 30 minutes or an hour, and the interviewer takes up 50 minutes of the interviewing process, you got to understand it goes both ways, and we have to be aggressive enough to treat it that way, because this you're bringing a talent and a skill set to them, and they're offering you an opportunity to exhibit that. So I say all that to say, family, some actionable steps to handling a challenging boss right away is, first of all, take a deep breath. We might do a woosah, woosah, and give it time to adjust to each other's working style. And then once you give it some time, I know somebody said, well, how long? I'm going to tell you right now, because most people might not do this. 30 days. After 30 days, you still have that same feeling, that same tingling. Initiate a meeting to clarify expectations and express your eagerness to contribute positively. If the behaviors continuously to go on, seek advice maybe from your peers, but be covert in that advice. What do I mean by be covert? Meaning that, hey, how long have you been working with this manager? Oh, 6 months, a year, or 2 years. Okay. What are some things you like, or what are some areas of opportunity? And see the areas of opportunity that you are already kind of feeling. Do they talk about? If they don't talk about it, then you say, yep, red flag. Okay, well, let's move on to point number 6. Point number 6: addressing unfair treatment. Questions probably is you're probably thinking, okay, how do you address being unfairly targeted by your boss compared to other coworkers? Listen, family, one of the best things that you can do is consider finding a way to have a conversation with that boss and that manager, because you need to understand, where is this energy coming from? Why are they treating you like this? And you owe it to them, because of the fact they brought you into the organization. You owe them the opportunity to say, hey, I want to understand what is going on. I feel like I'm being unfairly treated. What could you walk me through this? Because see, when I was playing basketball, I remember I went to my coach, 'cause I've always been like, it's been a gift and a curse where you say something to me, I felt like I had to say something back. Because, and that's why I put in this book right here, family. The quote that my mom said, the Magnetic Project Manager book. I said, listen, and she always would tell me, because I'm like, you say something to me, I got to say something back. But that wasn't effective. And when I got in corporate America, I see why it wasn't effective. So I had to change my style up. But my mom would always tell me, son, focus on winning the war, not the battles. Again, focus on winning the war and not battles. And so when I changed my mindset, and plus I had some amazing mentors that helped me, navigate corporate America. But one of the things is that I understood that the first thing is having a private conversation with my manager to get a understanding. Once I got an understanding, it didn't take me long to formulate where I stood. And if it was some fluff type things, and then they said, here's a fluff example, like, oh, well, yeah, no, it wasn't something personal. And I was telling you about my basketball coach that I had, and it wasn't nothing personal. But what my coach had said to me, where because he was constantly like picking at me, I was like, man. I was like, why you always got something to say about anything I do on the court? I was like, you don't give that much energy to the rest of the players. And he was like, I see something in you and I'm pushing you. He said, watch this, family, the day I stop critiquing you, or the day I stop pouring energy into you like that, is the day I no longer care. Mm. I was like, well, you could have said that from the beginning. We could have, So again, a lot of this has to do with communication. Your manager may be seeing something in you, and you may need to let them know, hey, that approach doesn't work for me. Let me tell you how you can help me. If you see something, if you see a value in me, if you see that I have the opportunity to go to the next level, and you're preparing me for that, is there a different approach that we can look at? That's how you have to do it. Don't be so, put off that you don't have an open mind to have an open discussion about what is going on. All right, let's move on to point number 7. Point number 7 is identifying overly critical behaviors, kind of similar to the point number 6. Question is this: how can you differentiate between a boss being overly critical versus them possibly signaling your termination? I thought about what I was going to call this because of the fact of this particular point, because there is a terminology out there that a lot of people don't know unless you've been in the manager and the leadership roles, or you've experienced it personally, and it's called managing you out. What does that mean? Managing you out basically means is either making your job very difficult where you are set up for failure, not failing, or it's one of those things where a manager starts taking work away from you and giving it to other people and really isolating you, and you're not really having one-on-ones and conversations with you, and they're making you really more distant. So they're hoping that you quit before they have to go through the paperwork piece of things. So that's kind of like, that's managing you out in a sense. So with this one, when your manager is being overly critical, again, I keep coming to the foundation. Have that conversation with that manager. Seek feedback on specific areas for improvement, and then gauge the response. See, that's another thing. We don't gauge the response. That's what I was saying. Gauge and understand what is going on. And if you still feel like it's still not good, then you have a choice to make. And we're going to talk about that choice near the end, but I think it's probably be very simple. And I'm going to say it here. You have a choice. Either you can stay and continue to deal with the treatment, or you can start getting your resume ready and looking for opportunity. I have a video where I talk about, being tolerated and versus being celebrated. You always want to be around people in an organization, or even in you want to be around people that celebrate you, not tolerate you, because there's a completely different aspect to that. All right, last and final point: navigating navigating bosses' mood swings. Question could be: how should you adapt to a boss with unpredictable mood swings affecting the workplace? Listen, you want to continue to maintain that professionalism. Again, you want to continue to maintain that professionalism and focus on your work, avoiding personal reactions to mood change. Like I told you, when I first got started in this thing I love, that I hope you fall in love with, called project management, I still had that aggressiveness of you say something to me, I got to say something back to you. I didn't care who what position you were in because I felt I was leading with respect. I'm expecting the same thing. And I had to learn though, even though I'm leading with respect, everybody's not going to come to the table with the same respect. So we need to address them accordingly. So again, if you find that your boss is having all these mood swings, again, have that meeting with them, request a private meeting and discuss it. This is going to be key because you're probably going to be hot, as my auntie would say, hot as fish grease. But you want to make sure that you request a private meeting to discuss it calmly, focusing on the work impact rather than personal feelings. All right, I have one bonus for you today, and the bonus is basically favoritism. How about we call it this? Bosses favoritism affecting your opportunities. So, what can you do if your boss has favoritism towards certain employees that limit your opportunities? Well, that's going to be challenging because of the fact of you're going to need to prove the favoritism. However, I know that that person is being favored. So, what you're going to have to do is make a decision. Is the favoritism getting in the way of your career path? If it's getting in the way of your career path, you have a very, very, very difficult decision to make. And I use very as many times as I could there because of the fact that you're going to have to make the decision to either stay or go. It's not one of those things where you can like let me think about, oh, I'm gonna just stay here and I'm not even gonna. No, you're gonna have to make a that when you felt like that day that is favoritism and you know that there's nothing you can do because you've had the private conversation with your manager. By the way, you met with your manager, you say, hey, I'm not trying to say that you are showing favoritism, but based on what I'm seeing here, I just need to understand why I didn't get the opportunity based on my skill set, based on what I've done for the organization for a while. This person's only been here 2 months. I've been here, 6 months to, I mean, 6 months or a year, and you gave it to them. Could you help me understand that? And sometimes the manager will be able to say, well, yeah, let me explain why. Well, when we put you in this situation, you lost your professionalism and we are nervous to move you to the next level, or I don't know what that thing is. But again, family, you need to understand if the just or the justification of what is being articulated to you, it makes sense to you, then you got to say, okay, well, what are some things I could work on? If they can't give you the things you need to work on so you can be prepared for that next opportunity, then it's definitely favoritism. Hey, family, I have three points for my closing remarks. Here's point number one. Um, when previous tips haven't worked, meaning the tips that I've just given you haven't worked, I'm just going to be honest with you, family. You're going to have to make a decision to either look within the organization or outside the organization for an opportunity. You can't play with your career like that, especially in these days and times. There's no room to be playing with your career. If this is something that you really want to do, which is called project management, and you're seeing all the things I described today and probably even more that I haven't described today, you need to make a decision, not a choice. See, a choice is saying, well, I'll stick around and I'll wait for it to get better and I'm not going to do anything about it. I'm not going to have a conversation with my manager. No, 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 no. You need to make a decision when you're experiencing this and you just know without a doubt that is going on. You need to make a decision. Point number two, responding to public negative feedback. Like I told you, family, when I opened up the video, I said, remain calm, collective, and I forgot the third one, but I did say remain calm and collective. But seriously though, family, you want to stay calm and collective and cool. That was the last one. Calm, collective, and cool. Reason why you want to do that and not get out of your professional frame. What does that mean? Meaning that you want to remain professional. You want to articulate yourself professional. You want to come across very professional. And I repeat, do not respond with a defensive response. Just say, okay, I see what's going on. And you need to, again, make a decision about that. And the decision is first having a conversation. If you don't get the warm and fuzzies and if you don't feel like the thing is being handled in an appropriate way and you get on another call and it happens, again, you're going to have to make a decision. Point number three, when your boss takes credit for your work, listen, I told you before, one of the things that I recommend is discuss with your manager and focus on your desire for collaborative success and recognition. So, family, I want to wrap this up and just basically say this. You're going to, when you've made a decision, not a choice, that this is not working for you, for this manager is not leading you. Unfortunately, the toughest decision is having to get yourself back out in the market, whether it's in the organization or outside the organization, because I know that you're like thinking like, man, I have to reprove myself all over again. Well, is it would you rather do that, or would you rather just continually to sit in the pain and the frustration of having to of someone that doesn't respect you enough to, after you guys have had a conversation, as you were very transparent, you were very professional, you were open, and you really was vulnerable what was going on, and they still disrespected you. You tell me what you would, why would you continue to stay in a situation like that? But who am I? Until next time, you know my slogan. I'm out.